Does Spider-Man live up to the hype? There has been so much enthusiasm, so much excitement, and so much anticipation for this game. I was incredibly worried that it would be almost impossible for it to deliver at that magnitude of awesomeness. And yet here we have a truly amazing game. What's going on, everybody? It's Ghost Robo, and I've been playing the heck out of Spider-Man lately. Big thanks to Sony Playstation for sending over the review code. It is, well, I'm not going to spoil anything, so just know that this video won't ruin the experience. I just want to let you know that the game lives up to the hype, and here are the reasons why. I'm also giving away a copy of the game. It's on PlayStation. If you want to win it, just like the video, leave a comment relevant to the video. We'll pick a winner. I'll also be giving one away on my walkthrough when that is posted, so you can look forward to that as well. I've broken it down into 5 main categories, and the first one is just the overall Spidey feel. They have nailed being Spider-Man, and I really feel that what Batman Arkham Asylum and that series did for Batman, this game is now doing for Spider-Man, and that was a very tall task, I felt. Something about the Spider-Man character, maybe it was the past pedigree of the games that came before, I was a bit worried. Even once I played the title at E3 earlier this year, I still said, will it be able to deliver a varied, a fun, a fluid, a AAA experience that feels as awesome as Arkham made me feel back in the day about Batman? Now can Spider-Man make me feel that awesome about Spider-Man? And it sure does. Let's start off with the momentum, the movement, the fluidity of the character. They have some insane animations here. I don't know that there is a better moving superhero ever existing on a video game. It looks absolutely remarkable from a graphical standpoint, and then just from an animation standpoint. He does some sick stuff, and it seems like it's always alternating, that they are shuffling through a variety of different looks, so it never gets stale. It never feels like you're just doing rote animation or rote scripted, battle stance or a combat move. And as you swoop through the city, swing on your webs, it's remarkable. There isn't a whole lot of motion blur, but you definitely feel the momentum. They have kept the clarity. They absolutely incorporate speed, and it's the best swinging that Spidey has ever had. It is such a good experience to go through that city. And I will say that New York maybe isn't as exciting as a fictitious city could have been. That's obviously not what this franchise has to work with, but sometimes I feel like I am working my way through the same blocks and the same buildings, even though they are different. It just has a look that, hey, that looks a lot like that, and that looks a lot like that, since they're working with an actual legit space instead of something that they make out of their minds. But moving through it is absolutely incredible, and there's just so much momentum, I guess is the best word, as you launch yourself from the point launches, as you jump to elevate and add verticality to your swings, as you zip through the air and then bomb dive down. It's just a fantastic experience. Combat itself is equally awesome, and even though it is borrowing heavily from what Batman did before, I feel like they make it their own, and I feel like they add a speed and a fluidity that is perfect for Spider-Man, throwing stuff around, webbing everyone in sight, and shifting through your gadgets. It just feels so cool, and I did not tire of using his arsenal because they're always giving you something more, it feels. And we'll get to the upgrades and how you can mix things up in a minute, but you can kind of customize your experience a little bit in some key nuanced ways, and that helps keep the combat very fresh. It is the very much like attack, attack, dodge, jump, slide underneath, attack, attack, dodge, jump, slide over here. But given that you are Spider-Man, that you can swing around, that you can use the point launch, that you can crawl, that you can dodge off the walls, that you can use web bombs and spider drones and trip mines all in the combat, it's beautiful. It really is. And the finishers are oh so sweet. You'll want to build that bar. I love that they decided to let you sacrifice focus meter for those finishers for health if you need it, because some of these guys do hit hard. And while I wouldn't say that the game is difficult, you can be punished pretty quickly if you're not careful. And it just ends up being very cool when you incorporate your suit moves, you incorporate your gadgets, you incorporate your normal Spidey flair. He just looks cool, and it feels great the whole way through. I was also very impressed how well they incorporated stealth here. It's entirely possible to go through encounters completely silent without being seen, and I love the perch takedowns. It's very reminiscent of Batman's gargoyle takedowns, but hey, it's a system that works, and I love that Spidey is able to use it here. Planning a perfect route through the entire arsenal of enemies as you move from point to point and stay above, drop down, get back out of there, split the guys up, use webs to distract. That's really satisfying. And there's some other stealth elements that come in, but I won't spoil those because I want you to experience this for yourself if that is what you desire. The upgrade systems, those are really, really great, and they were more plentiful than I expected. You'll be upgrading Spider-Man directly through skill trees, and you can add things like being able to pull guys from the ground into the air for air combos. You'll be able to fling your webs farther. You'll be able to, build more focus, get special dodges, things of that sort. But you also have gadgets. And you can get these gadgets, like I mentioned, you have web bombs and spider drones, and you can then upgrade said gadgets individually in different nuanced ways, like adding an extra usage or maybe improving them slightly. And then we have the suit, which this was the part that really impressed me and eventually ties into the side missions and the side stuff that makes the city so fun to explore. So you have different suits that you can unlock. There are a bunch of them, and some very cool looks. They all are so well realized, and each suit gives you a different suit power that then can be swapped out once acquired and put on other suits. So this is something that maybe deploys some spider clones so that everyone's distracted, or maybe it unleashes an electric blast, or maybe it even blares guitar sounds to really separate the enemies from where Spider-Man lands. It's pretty cool, and I love mixing those up. You then have suit perks that are little boosts for your suit, and they can be applied across all suits, and then you can swap them in and out. So things like adding a little bit of extra damage here, a little more protection on this side, extra XP, things of that sort. And these are all acquired via tokens. Now, I was very concerned that this game, with its light beams and its map full of icons, might feel a little kitschy, a little gamey, a little bit cheap. But somehow it's all pretty fun because it is all working towards a purpose. It's all working towards progression. And they did a great job of making sure that everything you do is feeding into some other system. And I think games that find the right feel and the right pace for this loop are some of the most successful. Because look, they're not trying to tell the most incredible, deep story ever here. This is a gamey game, but they found a way to wrap it all up so nicely that you feel completely immersed in the experience and not pulled out, even though at times you're chasing kittens and finding pigeons and things of that sort. So it's really cool how as you beat these bases, you get base tokens. As you complete little research missions, you get research tokens. And you can either gather and amass as many as possible and then spend them however you see fit, or you can specifically target individual upgrades and look and find, hey, I need a couple of crime tokens, a landmark token, 2 research tokens, and then tailor your challenges, your collectibles in that exact way. XP is always being acquired, and the levels come fast and frequently, and that's really, really fun. There's also crimes that just pop up around the city. So a store will be getting robbed, or there's a car crash and you have to save civilians, or some demons decide to drop in and assault cops in the middle of an intersection, and those are plentiful. I will say they get a little repetitive after a while, but if you want to grab some crime tokens, which again can help you get more of what you want to get, they're always there for you. And it does, they make you feel obligated. I feel like I am your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and I want to save the world. I want to help my city. I need to go and do what I can to support the police force and help whoever's out there that needs help. I'll call out the backpacks as a really fun collectible. They could have just been something dumb that you pick up and, hey, you got to get these backpacks. It gives you backpack tokens. But each one contains a little artifact of Spider-Man's past, and then there's a little dialogue about it. Spider-Man himself, great quips, great dialogue. I think everyone is really well voice acted, and that ties into my third category here, which is that the lore, the characters, the world, they did a knockout job. Insomniac absolutely nailed it. I don't think Sunset Overdrive had a very memorable story. In fact, I couldn't name a single character or really many plot points from that game. I thought gameplay-wise and just overall feel, motion mechanics, it was amazing, and I love Sunset Overdrive. But here they found, similar to the Arkham series, a way to incorporate so many Spider-Man characters, so many villains. There are so many moments that you'll be like, oh my god, it's that person, it's that person, it's that guy. I don't want to spoil them all. You've probably seen a number of them from trailers, but I don't want to get into any of that just in case. They really do, though, bring it all together, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel phony. It feels really like as close as you're gonna get to like an Uncharted or a Naughty Dog style thing with Spider-Man. Again, it's very parallel to Batman Arkham, and they bring in this ensemble of villains, and you're running into somebody somewhere almost always, and how it ties together and who's really in it's very cool. And MJ, I think, is a great character. The chemistry between Spidey and MJ really on point, and Peter's nervousness around her I sympathize with. He really is a likable hero, and I think they did a great job of adding personality and putting you in the shoes of Peter Parker quite often, so that you do realize there is a man behind this myth, and you can experience sort of what he deals with as Peter and as Spider-Man. They merge, they are one, but there is some separation. It all kind of comes back together. I don't know, I think it's handled masterfully. The world itself, it's New York, like I mentioned, so there are some drawbacks there. It can feel a little bit repetitive, but it's a big space, and it's an interesting space because of how you move through it. Maybe the actual visuals aren't that exciting, but what you're doing is really exciting, and therefore you're flying past. It doesn't really matter as much. Could they have thrown in some fake set pieces and made things a little bit better? Probably, but I do like that they go indoors often. You are having encounters and sequences on foot. You're having encounters and sequences in enclosed spaces, and those are some of my favorites. I love that about Batman, how it's able to merge open world with indoor environments. And while there are more load screens here than in something like Arkham Knight, I felt, which was a little bit disappointing, but there are so many instances where it swings seamlessly from cutscene to gameplay that it more than makes up for it. You'll watch Spidey do something awesome in a cutscene, and then they give you control straight away, and you get to go make your own amazing moments. I'll call out the Halloween party as one in particular that I really liked. It's a small moment, but a really freaking cool one, and there definitely are those more linear style, mission style scenarios and scenes that are really, really rewarding. And if you know how sort of like the Batman games play out with open world and then interior linearity, it's a lot like that. You're using your gadgets, you're exploring, you're doing quite a bit of detective work, and there's even more that I don't want to say in case you don't know. So it's really good. I like the voice actors and voice actresses that they have put here. I think they picked very, very good people. Number 4 would be that the side stuff is legit good. As I mentioned, there's so much to do, and it actually is fun. And it's not a case of like, okay, the main stuff is really good, the side stuff, hey, it feels disconnected. They wrap it all up really well. They even incorporate villains within the side stuff, and you're constantly unlocking new side mission types. So you're always throughout the game just like getting more and more different kinds of challenges. So as you get maybe a little bit bored, or you get very familiar with a specific kind of challenge, boom, they open up something more. And sometimes they're just a slight tweak on something you've already done, but it's enough of a difference to feel like, okay, now I have more I got to worry about. And you will clear them out, and once you do, the city can in parts feel a little dead and dull. But again, this is a big game, and you're gonna have a lot to do if you look for it. You don't need to, but they incentivize it so well, and it's still fun. You know, obviously those upgrades and those tokens make it super worthwhile, but I feel like the mechanics are sound enough that almost everything you do as Spider-Man is good. There are more like bigger side missions that have like, hey, you're gonna talk to a specific character and maybe follow more of an instance event, and those, they're okay. I actually kind of prefer just the stuff that you do as you fly around. Like I mentioned, grabbing those backpacks as you go. You get to take photos of landmarks, and for some reason, that is just so cool to me, because you literally can be swinging through the air, pull out your camera, it goes a little bit slow-mo, you snap the photo, grab the XP, get the landmark token, can go upgrade and feel like a complete cool kid as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker, and then they always wrap it back into some past storyline or to some little anecdote, some character. Very, very cool. So the side stuff was a big concern for me. I knew that, hey, they're probably going to nail the main stuff. They've got an interesting plot here, and Spider-Man looks really good. I'm sure the gameplay, but like the fact that the side stuff is fun and I enjoy spending time there between missions, I always want to do more of the side stuff, and I think this is a game that is well worth 100%ing. I'm not that person. I'm not the person that wants to put 100 hours into a game, and not saying that's the number here, but it motivates you to get it all. It motivates you to complete every little challenge, and checking off that map wasn't a really, really fun experience, and that's something that I think is hard to do in an open world. The 5th and final point that I want to focus on here is the pacing and the variety. The first 40 minutes of Spider-Man are an adrenaline rush that is just, I think, so perfect. They really hit a home run in the beginning. They don't start you off slow. They throw the tutorials at you, I feel, pretty spaced out. So you're, again, just as you're unlocking new types of challenges, new types of side things, you're also learning different mechanics, unlocking more gadgets, figuring out different moves, and kind of building your spider arsenal as you go. And that initial set of encounters is just brilliant. It just throws you right into the world, and you're like, okay, this is a game I need to play, and I feel like it just builds from there. And they do an excellent job of having some slower moments where there's maybe a little bit more character development, or maybe you can just go off and do some side stuff. Like, it'll even throw up a prompt that says like, hey, you know, go and explore the city for a little bit while you wait for MJ to call back or whatnot. But those times are never too long. They really just hit a crispy sweet spot of, okay, now this is happening, and the story will build and build, and then maybe there's a little bit of a lull, and then it'll build and build again, and I don't know, they just absolutely mesmerize you with what's going to happen next. And I think that's really impressive in a game that is a Marvel title, and that is a superhero game that in the past, before the era of Batman Arkham, we were not accustomed to doing anything of that sort. And I think Insomniac deserves major praise because they are a really good developer, and they have put out really awesome titles back in the day with Ratchet and Clank, and, you know, now most recently Sunset Overdrive. But I didn't know that they could hit this one out of the park with Peter as well as they did. You know, time will tell if it's regarded as well as some of the other Sony exclusives, but it's up there. It's really, really good. And while more gamey than something like Uncharted, and while having a completely different purpose, being an open world game with a much more broad stroke set of mechanics, they top tiered this one, guys and girls. Insomniac did a remarkable job, and I think they deserve a huge round of applause. I was nervous. I was worried. Would this game be able to deliver given the expectations? The answer is yes. The answer is a resounding yes. And I can't wait for you all to experience it for yourself. If you have any questions, you want to know more, we'll be doing a ton of gameplay, a ton of different things throughout the week for Spider-Man as the different embargoes expire, and I can post and share more. I'm super excited to go through the adventure with you all. We'll be starting that off soon. Thanks again to Sony Playstation for providing the review code. Couldn't have made this video without that, so that is very, very cool of them. And make sure to leave a comment and like if you want to win a copy of the game. I love you guys. I love Spider-Man. This game is great, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Until that time, everybody, have a fantastic day. Drinks, watch all. I love you. I love Spider-Man, and we will see you all later.